Okay, let's make a start. If you are not speaking, please go on mute. This is Sanctuary session week 4, and I now ask Ram to open the session. Please, Ram, over to you.
Hey, good morning and good evening, everyone. This is Ram Ramalingam from Dallas, Texas. Welcome to this fourth session in Reflections and Resurrection series. Looking forward for another great session as usual. Again, connecting food and emotions at this level is very impressive. Delivering all these things, Kannan and Jarlays, in real time to a live online audience with so much of interactivity. Actually, this speaks volumes about the research and work that Sanctuary has put behind this and the confidence that you guys have, right? Again, introducing the speakers, like, Kannan is a certified life coach and nutritionist, and Jarlays is a professional hypnotherapist. I was introduced to Sanctuary by Inger. I have to thank a lot to Inger and his family for that. Only about 6 months ago, even though it's just such a short period, I have to say, he has had the greatest impact on my lifestyle. Being phlegmatic, indulgence is a born quality. So as we all understood. So I love food, period. I used to run away from people that advise on the food and diet. But yet, Kannan's devotion to the subject moved me. In my batch, it was just me and my wife. Kannan spent his time for all 5 weeks just for two of us. So the only people that do this as a service can do this really in this way. So I was moved by his, not for me or myself. I wanted his, I wanted to put his teaching to work, at least for his efforts and passion. So now, today, after 6 months, I have to say people automatically take notice in the change and ask me voluntarily what I'm doing differently. Today, Kannan is helping my entire family, parents, sisters, in-laws, colleagues, and friends. Many of them have enrolled. This again only highlights the good work Kannan, Jarlesh, and Sanctuary is doing. So I wish Kannan, Jerry, and Sanctuary be blessed with all the strength, the ability, and resources to continue this great service for years to come. So Kannan and Jerry, we are looking for another great session as usual. And welcome all.
Okay, thanks, Ram, for those kind and encouraging words. So with that, without any further ado, let's straight away get into the session. We have been discussing last 3 weeks on the mind and body connection through the 4 personalities and temperaments. Okay, so last week we discussed particularly focusing on how mind affects health. This week we are going to expand on that and specifically discuss on feminine health. Okay, so that's all we are going to focus this week. So this week will be covered by me, and then next week Jerry would come back and then talk more about emotions. And again, disclaimer, we are not medical doctors, and this is not a medical advice. For anything to do with medical advice, follow your GP's or doctor's advice. Another couple of disclaimers today. Today's session will be discussing on feminine health. So if you have young children around you listening to this conversation, parental guidance is advised. I will not discuss anything awkward. I can tell you that this is going to be professional, decent, but I'm just letting you know, given we are all locked inside, you may have young children, listening in the back. Also, by attending this session is being recorded as we speak. So you give consent to this being recorded. Okay, one more disclaimer. This is how I feel in terms of delivering this session. First love. All of you think about how you felt when you wanted to propose. So lots of happiness, but at the same time, butterflies in the stomach, being nervous, because love is truth, and truth is not easy to accept. Okay, so truth, life, they are not easy to accept. So some of the things that we discuss today might come across, I mean, for people who are used to sanctuary, probably not a big surprise, but people who are attending this for the first time. Sorry, could you go on mute, please? Sorry, thank you. Okay, so in a summary, I just want to quickly start with summary for the last 3 weeks. Now, when I say summary, I'm not going to go back and discuss all the points. In principle, what we have been saying is whether it is health or disease, okay, it's impacted by 4 things. The top one is mind, and that's what we have been discussing in the last 3 weeks. So Jerry said, fear is the root cause for all the illusion that we have. And we learned how fear finally results in physical ailments. That's what we discussed last week. In our sanctuary sessions, we have discussed a lot about how food and nutrition and lifestyle contributes to disease or health. One thing we haven't touched in greater detail is the environment. If we protect our environment, I mean, probably the food and lifestyle is less of an issue. So these are the 4 major factors that determines health or disease. That's all. I mean, this, just to say this, we have been discussing for 3 weeks, 2 hours, so in total 6 hours. So this week we are going to expand on this mind, and from how the fear to chemistry. Okay, so we all know that women's chemistry hormone is much more complicated or sophisticated than men. And that's the reason why we have dedicated 1 full week, just so that we appreciate the sophistication and the grandness of women's hormone and body chemistry, and how that's going to have impact on health or disease. So who do you think has the power and the ability to create and grow life? Men or women? You may answer. If you want to answer, you can unmute.
Women.
Women. There is only one person who thinks women. Everybody else thinks it's men. Who can grow and create life?
Woman.
Women.
Woman.
Women. Yeah. Yes, I know it's not a tricky question. I just wanted to start with a simple question.
Men and women.
Men and women, yes, but who can grow the life? Men has the initial part, but who has the power to grow the life for 9 months, 9.5 months?
Obviously women.
Obviously women. Yes, that's the confidence I want. This week is dedicated for you. Okay, so but that means with great power, I mean, you have the great power to create and grow a new life. Even men needs to come through women. That's a great power, but it comes with great responsibility too, because in a way, all the human life, whether it's human life or any other life, what is the origin, where it starts, and the health and the power and the quality of where it starts is really important. And that's why we are having a focused discussion on feminine health. So let's directly go. Okay, so I know in science, if I look back when I was in year 9 or 10, I think this syllabus was not meant to be taught. All the teachers in the school, this is going back, I don't know, 20, 30 years. But I was very curious. I went to that section of the book and then wanted to study, but nobody taught. But I know nowadays it's being taught. It's called female reproductive system, but I've changed it to divinity nursery. This is a nursery where divinity is in action. New life grows here, happens here. We need to understand what happens and how it happens. So maybe initially it might look like a biology lesson, but I will change the topic. So all of we probably most of you, some of us know there are 3 major organs within the divinity nursery. I'm going to use the word divinity nursery instead of female reproductive system. So the first one is obviously, all of you know, uterus. What's the Tamil name for uterus? Anyone?
Garbapai.
Garbapai. Anyone who knows Telugu? What's the Telugu name for uterus?
It's called Garbhasanchi.
Yeah.
Okay, and anyone Hindi? Okay, if you don't have Hindi representation, in Latin it is mertices. It's nothing but matrix. That is the origin. So in Tamil they said Garbhapai. Okay, and if you go to temple, it's called Garbhagraham. That's where new life, new spirit is formed. That place has the necessary environment to create a new life. I've been saying in sanctuary sessions, our body can regenerate, renew itself. But the place where a completely new life can be created, a new eye cell, a complete brand new heart can be created in this place. Okay. Then we are, probably, most of us know about these 2 ovaries. So I don't know, women have 2 ovaries, one on the left and one on the right. Okay. And that's like a pearl. There are lots of eggs. There are lots of eggs. And then you have this fallopian tube. Okay. And then we all know about the birth canal. So how many, can you make a guess how many eggs are in these ovaries? Any guess? There is no right or wrong answer. I just wanted to get some engagement.
Millions.
There are plenty of eggs. Depends
Million.
upon.
Million. Yeah. So when the baby girl is formed, millions of eggs. But before it becomes the puberty age, it only has some 70,000 eggs. Okay, 70,000 eggs. But how many babies on an average today women are giving birth to?
2 maybe.
2, maybe 2. Yeah, let's take that as an average number. So if a woman is going to give only 2 babies, why give millions of eggs? And why give 70,000 eggs? And look at the duration for how many years a woman is fertile, you know, have the ability to bear children. So let's say 15 to 16 years old, and then up to 55 years for the menopause. So there are about 40 years. And 40 years, you know, in a year you have 12 months, because every month there is a cycle. So 40 times 12, anybody good at maths?
480.
480. Brilliant answer. So 480 eggs is more than enough. Or let's round it up, right? Just make it round it up. 500 eggs is more than enough. Not enough, more than enough. But then why 70,000 eggs? 70,000 eggs. So the nature has set the stage, has done everything possible for life to continue and happen without any struggle. Because nobody can complain, you know, why me? Millions of eggs, 70,000 eggs, but we only need 480 eggs max. And then we all know every month, I don't know if you know, on alternate from the egg from each of the ovary alternates. So let's say month 1, monthly cycle, from this side of the ovary, the egg will release and it will go through the fallopian tube, and then it will go to the uterus. But then in the next monthly cycle, it will come from the other side of the ovary. If you pay close attention, you will know the cycle, you know, you can differentiate the pattern, the pain, the way it happens. It will be different on each of the ovaries. So life, this is a production factory. You all have a sophisticated, phenomenal life making. You're not making bananas, you're not making bread, you're making a new life, which means we are creating a new heart, couple of kidneys, a completely brand new brain. Everything is made in here, not based on what you studied in your college. It's not based on your intelligence. It just happens. It doesn't take any instructions from you. So now let's look at a little bit more, you know, what happens in a monthly cycle. I don't know whether it's a boon or a bane. Depending on your experience, you will have a perspective. So probably, you know, most of you know, it is a 28-day cycle. It is a lunar cycle. Women are associated with moon. Moon, you know, cycle is 28 days. Men are associated with solar cycle. That's about 11 and a half years. Okay, so 28 day, there is a cycle. All of you know this. It's very simple. There are two players. There are two players here I want to introduce to you. Day 1 of the cycle is when the period starts. So what happens is, what you know, what needs to happen. Sorry, can you go on mute, please? Thank you. So it's all about before the egg, let me go back to this. Before the egg releases from the ovary, and comes through the fallopian tube and goes to the uterus, it's like, that nest needs to be built here in the uterus. Cushion. So it's kind of a blood nest, which means a lot of cells needs to be grown here. And that's what happens. And for that to happen, we need estrogen. Estrogen is a hormone which is a cell multiplier. Imagine a bird goes and collects multiple straws and then brings it to the nest so that before it hatches egg, that nest is smooth and it's like a home. Okay, it's all ready-made for you. And that's what estrogen does. So from day 1, day 7, it goes to the peak. The estrogen level goes to the peak. Remember this, estrogen level increase means there is a lot of cell growth. It multiplies in multiple times. It becomes like a beautiful soft cushion net inside. And then by 11th day, 12th, 13th day, the estrogen level starts dropping. Estrogen it's a great slave, but a bad master, because it doesn't know when to stop. It will keep on making new cells. If you do not give an instruction, it is your time to go away, then you can imagine it will unnecessarily produce more cells and muscles which are not required. So there is a signal around day 12, 13 saying, your job is done, estrogen, can you go back? And then that's when the ovulation starts. So there is another character in our story called progesterone. Progesterone is another hormone. That is a happy hormone. That's why I put it in green color. This is like, estrogen is like your men. It's like a man. It does the building job. It makes the house. It puts the brick, mortar, it sets the window, foundation, everything is done. But then you need to make it as a home for the anticipated arrival of a new life. And who does that? Mostly women. They have the aesthetics. So putting the last feather, putting some perfume, making some painting, buying some flower vase, making it look like, welcome home, that kind of finishing touches, giving that happy feeling is progesterone. And that's when around, mid cycle, women are generally happy because a lot of happy hormones. And that's when there is a highest potential for a new life to come into this world. And that's why nature has set it up, because it needs to be done in a joyful manner, in a happy manner. So progesterone comes into the picture. Now think about, where does estrogen and progesterone come from? People who have attended sanctuary classes would know this. Where does the sex hormones are produced? I'm not putting you on the spot. Okay. It comes from cholesterol. Yes, estrogen and progesterone are made from cholesterol by the liver. So note this point. We will discuss this at the end of the session. If there is no cholesterol, there is no progesterone, there is no estrogen, there is no new life. Okay. So then let's say around 14th day, 13th, 14th, 15th day, the life happens. If the sperm and the egg are united, then the progesterone level becomes even more. the body produces 200 times more progesterone to make the women feel more happier to bear the new life, so that it's not a struggle, it's not a burden, as if, oh my God, now I'm pregnant, oh, okay, it's painful, I'm feeling sick. The nature doesn't want it that way. I mean, the arrival of a new life is a bliss. This is how life is supposed to be. I don't know what is happening. You probably are all thinking, Kannan, you are speaking some ideal stuff. You don't know what I'm going through. I'm just saying this is how nature has designed us. 200 times more progesterone, so that the women feels ecstatic, not just happy, ecstatic to bear the new life and bring the new life to the world. And this continues. But let's take a scenario where the sperm and the egg does not unite. In the 14th day, nothing happens because we decided not to have a child. It's just a usual monthly cycle. Then what happens is the egg will come, travel through the fallopian tube, it goes to the uterus, but then there is no sperm. So all the nest, the blood nest that was created, the house, see, the house nature creates for us, it's a fresh house every month. It's not like how we buy one house and we live in that house forever. Nature creates a brand new organic blood nest every month. That's how much it loves us. But then when there is no new life coming in, then there is no need for that life, because for the next egg, it doesn't want a second-hand house. Another blood nest will be created next month. So the previously created blood nest will come out, will be expelled through the birth canal. And that's what we call as periods. Is this a process that needs to be embarrassed about or shamed about? The society today feels awkward to talk about periods. We will all be very comfortable talking about pizza, movies, money. But this is life. This is what I meant by most of us are afraid of truth, life. Yeah, truth and life. Because this is true and this is life. This happens to everybody. But we are fearful of our own truth. And we have a social taboo associated with this. But this is a brilliant, phenomenal, joyful process, life process that happens every month, and it happens through women. And that's why I have a very high respect for women. Any questions on this so far about the monthly cycle? Okay.
Kannan, I'm not sure what else you're going to cover on this, but just quickly wanted to ask that for a girl child, nowadays we are seeing a lot of problems like puberty and also getting fertilization and all. So are you covering that, or?
Yeah, we are. That's what we are. Yeah, we are going to cover that in a lot more detail. Yes, absolutely.
Right, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you, but thanks for asking that. So see so this is your fallopian tube, the violet purple color stuff. Okay, and it's like octopus. There are tentacles. It is waiting to grab the eggs in the ovary. It'll just grab one egg and then send it through the fallopian tube. See how there is so much beauty that's happening there. But why I have put this in one slide, there is a reason for it. See, when the egg is released from the ovary, there is a blister. So, it's not like the eggs are loose in the ovary. They are all muscles, right? Ultimately, they are all muscles and cells. It is attached to the ovarian walls. Every egg is attached, but in a very little way, not stuck. So when the hormone gives the signal, it's the time to release the egg. The place where it got released from in the ovary, there is a small blister. That it's very important point, because that blister, that place is called corpus luteum. Okay, now you don't have to remember this. Why I'm saying this is that's the point from where progesterone is produced. So if there is no ovulation, if the egg is not released from the ovary, there is no progesterone. Remember this point. You will know why I'm making a big fuss about this point. Okay, so next time, the next egg from the other ovary, from the place where it left. So every egg has got their own unique properties, and accordingly, progesterone will be. I mean, what happens? These are all some few of the things that we know from science. There are so many billions of things that happens there which we have no idea. These are all some examples to show you how sophisticated and beautiful and complex process is happening in the life-making machine that is inside you. Okay, so imagine you have a briefcase and you have $1 trillion money with you. How confident and rich and prideful that you will feel. I am telling you, you have a life-making machine inside you. And you are carrying it all the time. All women, you should walk at least 10 inches taller. So this we have discussed. This is what we have discussed. From the ovary, the egg travels, goes to the uterus. If it happens to encounter with the sperm, and by the way, we talked about the millions of eggs. Do you know how many sperms are there in one ejaculation from a man? Any guesses?
Millions, I guess.
Yeah. 250 to 300 million. So if anybody are good in maths, you know what is the permutation combination of 250 million times 70,000 eggs. What are all the number of possibilities of babies that one man and one woman can make? So life has set the stage for next generation to continue comfortably. But it's been given in abundance, right? Nature could have just given you, okay, I give you 500 eggs because you are only going to make anyway 480 eggs. That's your fertile time, baby making time. And why 250 million sperms in one ejaculation for a man? Because all of them, when they travel through the birth canal, some of them will go in the wrong route. Because they need to know from which side of the ovary the egg is traveling, and most of them will die. And that's what happens in real world. The nature of man is, you see one guy, all of you go back to your college times, one boy, think about yourself, one boy will go after, lots of boys will go after only one girl, as if there is only one girl in the college, because there is only one egg that is traveling from over. That is the fun. The sperms will go, all 250 million will run for one egg. Okay, so you are 1 in 250 million. You are 1 in 250 million. And when does life form? Still people are debating about it. So this, when the first cell is formed on day 2 or day 3 or even day 2, a new DNA is formed, which has never been and which will never be. It is unique. A human DNA is formed in day 2. And that has the potential to form a completely, fully functional human being. Okay, so I've taken half an hour to talk about the miracle, the beauty that happens inside every female. Okay? I want you to feel so prideful and how great you are. That is the whole point of this. And there are 2 characters we discussed, estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen is like a male. It's a bad master, but a fantastic slave. It will do a lot of work. It will build buildings. It is a cell multiplier. But progesterone is a heroine. It's all about beauty, aesthetics. I'm not being sexist here. I'm just explaining the science in a simple way so that all of us can understand. Okay. Now, this is the question you asked about. If this is the way it's supposed to be, progesterone is there. I mean, everything is perfectly set by nature. But what is the issue? So the first point itself is, you look here in 6th grade. So 6th grade means what? 12 years, 11 to 12 years. So 11 to 12 years is the 32% of girls, young girls, are attaining puberty at 11 years old. 28% in 5th grade. That means 10 years old. And then 4th grade, 9 years old, 11%. But if you see, the majority is in 6th grade. But what do you think is the the right age? Ask your parents and grandparents. The normal is
15, 16 years.
16, 17 years, yes. But then how is it now happening 11, 12? I mean, even 10, 8 years. See, there are even 5% of the girls are now, 3rd grade. That means 8-year-old. That is an evidence to say, there is a deviation from the natural rhythm. Okay. So I'll tell you where we are doing wrong. That's the whole point of this session. And then we are all hearing the news about cancer, hot flushes in menopause time. Almost every woman I come across in my practice is iron deficient. Ovarian cancer and breast cancer, dominates the world now for some reason, for some unknown reason. I mean, imagine cancer in the place which has the capacity to produce a new life. That's why I took half an hour to explain. I mean, if the uterus has the necessary environment to create a new heart, and that's the place now we are suffering with cancer. Fibroids, and we need some artificial methods to conceive, infertility. What did we do wrong? Or what we didn't do right? So the first issue, what are the 3 emotions that you are seeing on the screen? Let's see if you can guess.
Anger, shame,
Mm-hmm.
Guilt.
Yeah. Sorry, who said guilt?
Sorry.
Mrs. Lucas.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Lucas. Guilt. So you're all thinking, what does this got to do with cancer and breast cancer and monthly cycles and periods and menopause? It's got everything to do with. See, I put this as the number one reason. The number one deviation that we have done. That's what we have been discussing last 3 weeks. How does, the anger, shame, and guilt are the result of fear. It's a response of the fear. Now, let me give you some examples so that you appreciate, which I slightly touched upon. So in the Indian culture, I will go through country by country. Let's start with Indian culture. In Indian culture, what is the emotion that is associated with periods and women?
Shame.
Shame, embarrassment. If not able to conceive, then it's a big shame. It's a very big shame, right? And to talk about this, it's not allowed. And women are put distanced during that time of the year. Oh, you're not allowed in the kitchen, you are unclean. It is even the medical industry, the scientific medical industry is saying, oh, it is the waste from the egg and all those things is coming out every month. Is it a waste? It was a potential baby. It's not a banana peel that you throw in the bin. It's not a chicken bone piece that you throw in the bin. If it had the right intervention, that would have been a new baby. Shame. This is what I mean by, we are fearful of truth and life. That was supposed to be a new life. In Japan, monthly cycles are associated with blossom. People say, oh, she is blossoming. That's the best word I have come across so far. Imagine if all of you, if you believe all people around you are thinking about blossoming rather than, oh, it's unclean, oh, this is she is not allowed this that. All of us have that uncomfortable, shameful feeling even to talk about it. Even if something were to not to go to plan in that area, it's a shame. If you are not able to conceive, you are a shame to the family. If something happens, it's a shame to the family. It's not just feeling shameful one time. That's why you need to read my things clear. It is intense and chronic. And most people carry this emotion because, let's say someone is unable to conceive for whatever reason, the society and the family and the people around are not going to leave them alone. They'll make them feel guilty and shameful for the rest of their life. So the shame is the number one emotional reason for the ovarian and breast cancer. I'm not saying it's the only reason. I'm saying it is one of the reasons. And guilt is a slightly lesser form of shame. If the guilt goes on for a long time, we are feeling, the women feel guilty because, she didn't do it, or she was not unable, she was not able to do it. It's my fault. Or some other women carry anger. Why me? In my experience, I am yet to come across a person who had cancer but not had any of these emotions.
So, Kannan, I have a question. So, during, before we get the cycle, right? Or during the cycle, we get a lot of mood swings, which tends to like become angry and whatnot, right? Frustrated, depressed. So, you mean that also can
No.
be reason for cancer?
No, that's what I said, right? The spurt, when you feel angry for temporarily for 1 hour, 2 hour, I'm not talking about that. This is chronic. Chronic means you are keeping it for a long time, for years and years. Especially because of one reason, some death happened. I'll give you an example. A death happened or somebody blamed you. I've seen people, people changing religion, for example, or people who is a divorcee, and there is a social stigma, and that person carries that stigma of guilt and blame and shame for the rest of their life. That's what I mean. I'm not saying if you feel it that way for 2 times, 3 times, 10 times, that's not going to contribute to this kind of things. Okay, but let's move on. Okay, the second one, this is the most important one, by the way. I mean, all are important. I'm going to talk about 6 things, but they are all equally important. But from a practical point of view, from a physicality perspective, this is the most important point. In 1960s, in 1960s, some of you who are old enough will understand this. In 1960s, the contraceptive pill was found by the pharmaceutical industry. That means there was a sexual freedom, which means you can have sex but not have babies. Okay, and what does that mean? What does that pill do? What does that pill do? That's number one question. The second question is, if women wanted to attend marriages, function, temple, church, important meetings, sports women, job, whatever the reasons are, if that the periods happens to come on that day, then we want to delay that period. How would we do that? Pills. The reason I explained you the estrogen and progesterone process is not because I feel so excited about it. It is because what is in the pill, whatever methods you are seeing on the screen, it doesn't matter. Everything is about, now imagine I give you the task. Now that you know the uterus, you know the ovaries, you know the egg, you know the process. If you want to stop the conception process, what do you have to do? Very simple. Not allow the egg to be released. How do I do that? If I understand the biochemical process of what hormone gives the signal to the ovary to release an egg, if I stop that hormone, then the egg won't be, you can do whatever you want to do, but you won't have a baby because the egg is not going to travel. Or I can confuse the hormonal system by giving estrogen and progesterone. And where did they find that? There is something called wild yam. I don't know if you know. Just Google it, you will know. So they found out that in wild yam, there is a chemical called diosinin. And from diosinin, they can make progesterone and estrogen. But it is also naturally found in wild yam. But anything that's found in nature, you can't patent it, which means you can't sell it, which means you can't make money out of it. So they took that, added some extra molecules to that, created a chemical version of estrogen and progesterone, put it in a tablet, and then give it to the women. All the beautiful women in the world, they thought, wow, I can have ecstasy, but I don't have to deliver baby. Let me take the pill, it's easy. Without understanding, it is screwing up the complete hormonal system. When you play with estrogen and progesterone, you are playing with God. You are playing with life creation process. Nobody understands this process 100%. So let's say you have a nuclear bomb in your hand. There are a lot, in the movies, Hollywood movies, you will see there are a lot of wires, red wire, blue wire, green wire, hundreds of wires are going on. Will you just plug some wire? That's what is happening. Nobody understands what the hell is happening in the divinity nursery 100%. But we want to mess with it. And all these birth control pills, period stopping pill, fertility treatments, patch, coil, any damn thing they give you, it increases estrogen. Because they do not want the egg to be released. So now go back to the point I said about corpus luteum. I said only if the egg, there is a ovulation and the egg releases from the ovary. From that spot, nature has created for progesterone to come from that part. And progesterone is a happy hormone. Now, the ovulation will not happen because the pill will go and stop that. There is no progesterone. Then somebody asked me, Kannan, why are we feeling angry and mood swing in the periods time? Because there is no happy hormone. But now there is a lot of estrogen in the body. And what is estrogen's job? It's a cell multiplier, cell growth. That's what they are saying. There is I found some cancerous cell in your uterus or in your ovary, means it didn't grow by mistake. That came from the pill that we have taken. I know, and I apologize. That's why I already told you I'm feeling butterflies in my stomach. But at the same time, I'm feeling very happy because I'm going to help this for at least the next generation of young women that you may have in your family. This is how today's so-called modern educated women's monthly cycle are. This is not how it's supposed to be. Progesterone heroine is not in the scene at all. It is an action movie with only male characters. Fighting, killing, estrogen. Estrogen dominant, progesterone deficient. And what is the result of this? Heavy periods. Why heavy periods? Have you ever asked your doctor or medical professional, why am I getting heavy periods? If there are a lot of estrogen in the system, there is going to be a lot of cell proliferation. If there is so much blood nest inside the uterus, it has to come out. So when you stop taking the pill for 1 week, some of you who have taken the pill will know, you will take for 3 weeks and then you won't take for 1 week. And in that 1 week, all this blood nest has to come out. But estrogen has created a lot of cell. It has grown unwanted cell growths in the uterus. Of course, it will be painful because all of it has to come. Mood swings, there is no progesterone. Hot flushes, the estrogen will fill the capillaries with a lot of blood. It's like about to burst because it's a cell multiplier. What is fibroid? If the body cannot expel all the blood nest 100% fully, then there will be some stuff lying inside. And if it gets, it's an organic matter. So if it's accumulated over a period of time, it will rot and the pus will form and the body will. So see, can you see how we are changing the divine life creation environment into a sick environment? Osteoporosis. This whole hormone now, I have been, shortage of time. I think about all this ovulation, the communication between estrogen, progesterone, cholesterol, liver. It's all controlled by your thymus gland, pituitary gland, thyroid gland. There is so much activity going on there. And then we blame people, oh, okay, you've got thyroid imbalance. All the women are now told, oh, you have a thyroid problem, you can't lose weight. Any questions? Otherwise, I have 3 more aspects to cover.